Okay, well, welcome. I'm excited to be continuing the Uptempo Marketing Acceleration Series, which is a conversation about all things marketing, marketing operations, and other big topics. And today, I'm really happy to be talking with you, Bret Sanford-Chung. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. It's so much fun. I'm very excited to be here.
It will be fun. I've been looking forward to this. We've been trying to get it scheduled, and I'm glad it's finally here. Right?
It's been a rough go, but we're here. It's all good.
Just so much anticipation. For those of you on the line, I'll provide a quick overview, but then I'd love to jump right into your background and better understand your history, your expertise in marketing. But for those on your line, Bret Sanford-Chung is the managing director of marketing consultant at KPMG. I think we're all familiar with KPMG. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what that role entails, but as you've pointed out in prior conversations, and I've noticed by going to LinkedIn, you have an extensive background. You've done many different roles when it comes to marketing. Professor, practitioner, you've been at an agency. So I would love to dig into that journey.
Sure.
So let's start there. What is your role at KPMG? Start off.
So currently, as you said, Jim, I'm managing director of marketing and marketing consulting. I lead the marketing operations practice, which is pretty interesting. And I have been at KPMG since the end of September of last year. And so I am actually a management consultant for the first time in my life now at this advanced age, which is pretty cool because it allows me to do a lot of what I have done in other roles, which we'll talk about in a second, and bring all of that stuff to bear for clients and then actually implementing on the recommendations that I'm making, which is pretty great, pretty fun and great stuff.
Yeah, so it's like doing many of your prior roles, but now just from a different kind of angle, right? A different point of view, if you will. Right?
Well, because I'm working with clients in every possible vertical you can imagine. Financial services, as we'll hear in a minute. I have a deep financial services background, but financial services, healthcare, commercial products, B2B, B2C, sort of all over the map, and really helping them figure out how to maximize that investment in marketing and make marketing accountable to business results, which we're going to talk lots more about.
I'm sure we'll talk lots about it. It's been like a recurring theme across my entire career. Accountability. Accountability. So tell me, how did you end up in the current role? Tell me a little bit about your work history, because it is fascinating.
Well, it didn't always feel that way, but I have literally touched. I come from a brand strategy background. I've touched brand and marketing from pretty much every angle you can touch it from. I most recently, before joining KPMG, was at Forrester Research as an executive partner, where I helped CMOs, CDOs, I had a couple of CEOs on my roster by the end there, move their initiatives forward. Really partner with them one-on-one to sort of figure out how to make a single view of the customer a reality, how to actually implement the customer journeys that they spent so much money on, that kind of work. And it was pretty terrific. And again, all over the gamut, from brand strategy and brand architecture to organizational structure, team upskilling, MarTech, everything you can imagine. But as you said, I've sort of touched this thing called marketing from every angle. I was the chief marketing officer of Smith Barney for 6 years, where I repositioned the brand in a much more dynamic way. And at the time, utilized some of the most brand new tools of that time, and really bringing Smith Barney into the digital age and the social age, which was not the easiest thing to do at that moment. And spent many years at ad agencies. Actually started my career, believe it or not, as a copywriter. Became a creative director, and then moved over. Once I came back to agencies after my stint at Smith Barney, I was running very large pieces of business. So ran Charles Schwab, ran the 8 agency consortium that handled HSBC across the globe, and ran that for North America, that sort of thing. So been on even both sides of the agency spectrum. And as you as you mentioned, do teach business and brand strategy at the graduate level.
So you're now at KPMG. I understand what you're doing there, but tell me about KPMG's expertise in all things marketing. What, like, KPMG is such a big brand presence, a large organization, solves many problems for many different types of companies and many different types of personas. But tell me a little bit about what they do in the area of marketing.
Absolutely. It's funny you mentioned that we're known for a lot of other things. I mean, I frequently will walk into a room and the client says, KPMG. What? Well, KPMG? Marketing? I don't understand. And I get it. Obviously we are known as an accounting and audit firm, but we have a very large consulting organization and a very fast growing marketing consulting arm. Our marketing consulting, as I said, sort of spans the gamut from marketing operations, agency relations, content, MarTech, measurement. You get the idea, the whole gamut of everything that marketing brings to the table. And we spend a lot of time, given our background in fiscal responsibility and fiscal accountability, in how to make marketing as effective in building the brand and making it accountable to business goals. So the reason I joined KPMG is, I said, I come from a brand strategy background. You don't want me auditing anything.
Right.
It would be ugly. But it's interesting as one of the biggest shifts that I've seen in the role of the CMO is that accountability to business goals. We were always accountable to goals, but tying those goals to business outcomes is, and of course now with the technology that we have, becomes certainly not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but it becomes more feasible. Right. And the scalability of it becomes more feasible. So the ability to do that and have the imprimatur and the cred to be able to say, yeah, we understand fiscal responsibility. You need to be able, what I find, again, with my background, you frequently will see that the CMO and the CIO are at odds. The CMO and the CFO will be at odds. Well, the reason is not just because they are, but because they have differing motivations, right? Sure. The CIO's motivation is to mitigate risk. The CMO's motivation is to, if not create risk, create new opportunity, which sometimes opens one up to risk.
Create tension, which can come
right, exactly. Create a conversation.
Yeah.
And which is interesting, sort of coming from where I come from and then coming into an audit firm. And I say, well, we need to build the brand this way. And it's just not in the muscle fiber. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But marketing and the CFO also, they don't speak this. Number one, they don't speak the same language. Number two, their motivations are different in that, again, marketing is about test and learn. The chief financial officer is not wanting to test and learn a heck of a lot, right? So, but you need to do that. You need to test and learn in order to be able to get that fiscal accountability. So being able to bridge that gap is incredibly important, and that's where we come in and we help.
Do you see in your work that the CMO CFO is the new power relationship? That's the new dynamic around accounting?
Well, it's the whole C-suite. I mean, we actually we're in the middle of a research series. We call it the force multiplier series. That is literally what the CMO's relationship with the CIO is and what it should be, and how do you build that? What are some of the things we saw? We just a month ago launched our CMO CPO, Chief Procurement Officer research, which was extremely interesting because we actually found out in our research, and this is empirical data, this is not self-reported data, that marketing having a deeper relationship with procurement actually makes marketing more innovative. People who have a better relationship with procurement use more innovative methods in their marketing. Pretty fascinating. You would never have thought of innovation and procurement in the same sentence.
Is that rooted in the MarTech dynamic, right? The ever-growing MarTech stack and the use of tools and technologies and applications there?
Exactly. And a lion's share of it, yes. It is also the fact of having that I'll use a small a agile team of across the, the CMO who understands I need to have a team across legal and compliance, financial, procurement, sales. You just mentioned sales. That's actually the next one that's coming out in September, will be chief revenue officer and chief marketing officer. What does that relationship get you? These are the entire C-suite is incredibly important, back to that accountability to business goals. Where is marketing getting a place at the table? How are they getting that place at that table with the rest of the C-suite? What does that look like?
Wow. So it's about relationships CMO to every other executive function. Is the CMO just a troublemaker? Why do we need so much relationship?
Well, because, and I live this, so I understand it. As it's just a very funny aside, anecdote. I went into Smith Barney and started talking about brand. Brand. You need a brand, you need a strong brand. Of course you understand you need a strong brand. Why do we have so many logos? There were 13 logos when I first got there. We need a strong brand. I was, all right, I'm a little slow sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, Jim. But I was 10 months in when I figured out that to a bunch of financial consultants, brand means the logo. They don't care and they don't understand what it means. So I found out or realized I needed to stop using my language and need to start using their language, and realized that in their language, their brand was their reputation. So all I did, I'm not kidding you, I sat in my office and took all of my materials and switched out the word brand for the word reputation, and all of a sudden doors started to open. So it is speaking, they're very simplistic. Sometimes you have to be simplistic. A very simplistic but salient example of how you need to create those connections. You need to speak the language of the CFO. Have to. Now, do you ever want to be the CFO as the CMO? Heck no. But you need to be able to speak the language and and be able to communicate the value brought by marketing and the relevance of marketing to that part of the business.
Right. Obviously at Uptempo, we're focused on what we like to call the operational side of marketing, right? Or operational marketing, right? It's so much focus today is on what we think of as the activation side of marketing, the MarTech stack and your automation systems, your personalization engine, your content engine, all this stuff. And we're very much focused on plans, performance, productivity, that type of thing, which I think is the much deeper connection to the financial side.
It's interesting you say that. I was just talking to someone this morning who was saying, we just implemented an entire stack of a company we will not discuss and we will not mention the name of, but a MarTech stack. And we don't know how to use it. We don't use it. So you can have all the pretty toys you want. That is not going to help you. And you would be shocked how often I talk about operations, what you're talking about. How is the team structured? Do you have the right people in the right seats? Are they upskilled in the right way, right? Particularly as MarTech becomes more and more sophisticated. Are they skilled in the right way? Do you need to upskill them? Do you need to bring in different skills? Are they tracking to the right parts of the organization? And oh wait, that big C word, culture. Do you have the culture to really metabolize these changes and metabolize the MarTech that you have and the data analytics and all of these other pretty fun tools that you have? Do you have the culture and the systems in place to be able to optimize them? Right. That's the issue.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about how we tackle that problem, because it is a problem. We have been talking together, you and I, but not just you and I, KPMG and Uptempo, about a concept that we call marketing business acceleration, right? The world needs a new 3-letter acronym, always.
Yeah, well, it's not really new. I mean, MBA is not new.
Yeah, that's true. There was definitely a connection.
Newsflash, branding professional here.
Well, because the notion is that, you've had a career as marketer, and I've had a long career as marketer, and gosh, we could point to so many operating models and frameworks and best practices and maturity models, etc. On the execution and activation side. Marketers are all too familiar with these, but when it actually comes to how you run marketing, right? How do you connect business strategy to marketing strategy to plans to goals to work streams to outcomes, there isn't a lot in the way of an operating model. That's why there's plans disconnected from performance, and budgets are floating around in hundreds or even thousands of spreadsheets. So we see that there's a desperate need in the marketplace to come up with some type of framework that marketers should use to organize this part of the business.
Absolutely. I mean, that's how I spend actually a lot of my time is folks say, I have all of this stuff over here, but how do I organize to actually do the business of marketing? I want to stop proving the value of marketing and start actually doing some marketing. How do I go about doing that?
Any idea why, given your perspective on the market and all the consulting you've done through your work at Forrester and KPMG, why have we gotten to a state where you run the business of marketing on a spreadsheet, but the campaign execution is on a really sophisticated stack of 50 different tools?
Because, it's funny when it comes right down to it. First of all, marketing has changed so dramatically I'm not even going to go 15 years. I'm going to go 7, 8. I'm even going to go 10. It's changed so fundamentally that you've got a lot of folks in seat who know what they're doing. They're darn good marketers. They know exactly what they're doing, but the way that you actually get things done and the capability to do that doesn't necessarily exist. It's not necessarily a skill set that exists. And guess what? It's a skill set that doesn't exist in a lot of places because it didn't exist 7 years ago. So we're kind of all making it up as we go, right? And there's, new solutions present themselves, but that's why I think so many folks are looking for the help that we provide, because they have the pieces, but putting those pieces together during a huge storm of disruption. There's been huge disruption in marketing in the last 8 years. I don't care what business, I don't care what you're selling, what you're marketing.
Right.
There's been huge disruption in the business of marketing and how it gets done.
Right.
And that has, through no fault of anyone's, but that has led folks to just be running and doing the thing and not worrying about, wait, how am I going to actually upskill, get to where I need to get so that I'm not on my back feet all the time, right?
It's a great setup for this notion of marketing business acceleration, what the operating model is, because you just described it in 3 vignettes or stories. We think about a baseline as visibility. Number one, just being able to get access to the data, whether that's plan data or the relationship of the plan to cascading programs, or is it the financial data? Do you have a real-time view of your budget? Do you even know what your reconciled budget looks like at any given time? I mean, the process of reconciliation is so slow at many, many organizations.
Exactly.
So is that visibility, and then from there,
and hasn't changed. I mean, that's interesting, is that the budget reconciliation process in a lot of places has not changed dramatically in the past 15 years. But meanwhile, what you're spending your budget on has changed fundamentally.
Right. Yes, a significant problem. And so we think about visibility as just being a base level, in this model. Visibility, just connecting the systems so you have that visibility, and then from there we think about it as moving towards velocity, right? Okay, good, you have the visibility, now you can point the ship in a direction and go, and go at speed to capture market opportunities. That's part of the challenge too, is execution time. And then finally,
because then when you do that, that's when marketing, the function of marketing, not your advertising, although that should be too, but not your advertising or your messaging, but the function of marketing becomes a competitive differentiator, because you can move at speed and change and pivot to an opportunity that your competition can't. They just can't pivot that fast. Right.
That notion of agility. And I'm not talking about CAP's agile marketing. I'm just talking about marketing agility, meaning change direction. Right. Goodness knows there are a million reasons why you need to, right? Consumer expectations change, customer preferences change, supply chain gets disrupted, who knows?
Well, and all that, how do you do all of that without constantly chasing the next big thing, right? Because it also becomes, how I have 9, I'm making stuff up now, but I have 9 different opportunities in front of me, changing consumer preferences, changing marketplace, new competitor in the marketplace, all of these different functions and stressors. Which one do I focus on? How do I determine which one to focus on? How do I prioritize? That notion of prioritization is key also, which you end up going to the Excel spreadsheet and figuring out whatever's going to make you the most money, which may or may not be the right answer.
What do you think is the role of marketing operations in solving some of these challenges? Like, is marketing operations the function up to the task of talking about these strategic problems versus configuring a MarTech stack, or even more commonly, just marketing automation systems?
Yeah, no, it's I run marketing operations here at KPMG, and talking every day about how do I get more out of the tech stack? How do I attach the tech stack to what I do every day? Of course. But it is so much more than that, because marketing operations in a truly well-functioning marketing organization becomes the engine by which marketing becomes successful.
Yeah.
With that, it's kind of like, if we think about design ops, it's kind of like the research function in design ops, right? You can't do it without that, right? You'd be going nowhere. It's the same thing with marketing and marketing ops. You can't, without a properly functioning marketing operations function, you have no visibility. You're absolutely flying blind, and you're not going to be as efficient as you could be. And by efficiency, I don't just mean get the most for your dollar. I also mean time. I mean exposure in the marketplace. I also mean brand exposure. Maybe you shouldn't have done that Instagram campaign. I don't know, I'm making stuff up, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you have a fully functioning marketing operations function that gives you visibility into the entire organization, you can make smarter decisions.
Yeah.
That are probably going to keep you out of more trouble.
That's right. So much more marketing operations at a strategic level being kind of the eyes and ears for the office of CMO versus the configuration of a tech stack dealing with
versus the little hamster on the hamster wheel. Absolutely. So Jim, I'm going to turn the tables on you for a second, because you've got a little brand story to tell too. You folks just changed your name and have a new brand in the marketplace. I want to hear all about it.
the company.
What's going on? What was the reasoning behind it?
So we're clear. We're talking about business here. I'm still Jim Williams, and if I had to rebrand me, it would not be Jim Williams. Yeah, Uptempo. That's right. Very exciting. I got to tell you, you're the brand expert. I'm not the brand expert, but yes, we have just gone through pretty significant change. The companies.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's very exciting. So, of course, Uptempo is the new name for a merger of 3 companies that are in marketing operations space or marketing performance management space. Brandmaker, Allocadia, and Hive9, 3 companies that came together last year. And it just makes sense to unite them under a common brand, which is Uptempo.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I could tell you that at KPMG, we're very excited by the coming together and the creation of Uptempo because it's just terrific for us. I mean, we partner together, and we're excited about new partnerships, and that bringing those 3 things together is actually pretty great, and we see huge opportunity there.
We believe there's big opportunity too, and honestly, like the whole name and the branding and all that is really exciting. But for me, it's trying to unite the company behind this singular vision of helping, marketing teams out there plan better, spend smarter, move quicker, etc. Like to get this whole operational side of marketing under control, or as we like to say, run marketing like a business.
Exactly. Which is what companies are coming to us to have us help them with, is how do I get more out of this business that I'm running? And it's not only about efficiency, it's also about how you, like I said before, how do you utilize marketing and marketing operations as a competitive differentiator to allow you to differentiate in the marketplace.
Very good. Listen, this has been a wonderful conversation. Any final thoughts from you on the office of the CMO and the role of marketing operations and how you solve these critical problems?
They're, folks like you and I are solving them every day. The CMO role has changed dramatically. We know this to be true, but it has also, I view it as it has taken on far more importance than it ever has before. I think there's huge opportunity here for the CMO, for the office of the CMO and folks in marketing, because organizations realize that there is more to marketing than just the communications and the advertising, so to speak. So I think there are huge opportunities as we move into the next few years. Yeah,
I completely agree. Huge opportunities. How lucky I was to stumble into this profession at some point in my career. Like literally, what role has changed more in the last 30 years than marketing? I completely revel.
It's kind of insane how much it's changed, quite honestly. And like I said, I think that spells real opportunity. I'll be honest, real opportunity for organizations who can understand the importance of marketing as a business driver, and a real opportunity for the people who run those organizations, who are the CMOs, the VPs of marketing, the folks in charge of doing that, being able to take the reins of a sort of newly invigorated function.
I suppose your students get that, right, when you're teaching these classes?
Yeah, yes, exactly. They do.
That's great. Wow, thank you, Bret. I really appreciate the conversation. It's really enjoyable. It's always cover a lot of ground. And when we talk, and I really appreciate you joining us on the Marketing Acceleration Series. It's a great conversation.
Well, thank you for having me. It was tons of fun.
Awesome.
Take care.
Bye-bye.